everyone. Today we got to play McDonald's.
The McDonald's game.
The McDonald's game. So this came out of the vintage box of Randy's childhood. 13 years.
Vintage closet.
Yeah. All I gotta say is this game's older than me. Okay.
I'm super excited because I've been wanting to play this one because I got all kinds of juicy backstory on it, just like the Alien game. So I've been super excited to get this one to the table.
All right, but before you give the juicy backstory, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell because you want to hang out with Birdman, Randrac, and Dragon Mother. I almost forgot my nickname there.
Was it an honorable mention?
Shove it. All right. So, Randy, tell us a little bit about the backstory.
Well,
I can't. Randy can't, but I can.
Well, you tell us about the game. I'll tell us about the origin of this.
So, the McDonald's game came out in 1975. Overall rank 16,689 on Board Game Geek. Rated at a 6.1. It plays 2 to 4 people.
Really? 6.1. 6.1. Okay.
It plays 2 to 4 people. Now, they're like most games from Milton Bradley back in this time. There's no designer or artist that was published, so we have no idea about that. Probably some dude in the basement probably made it, and he's unfortunately has gone all these years without the notoriety of saying I made the McDonald's game. But I think
I'd be okay with that personally if it was me.
You can buy a copy of this on eBay for $20. So $19.99. So it's probably $100 shipping, knowing eBay. But, at least you can get it for $20.
All right, so tell us the juicy backstory, Randy.
So first of all, I'll let you know, I am a huge fan of advertising. I always have been. My Christmas tree every year is a Coca-Cola Christmas tree. I have ornaments from every advertising they used to have on an auxiliary tree, but I haven't been getting that out for quite a while. But McDonald's, I have the McDonald Land train set with all of the figures that used to go around the base of my tree every year. We haven't gotten that out in a while either.
We have a McDonald's play set that our daughter absolutely loves.
Also from my collection from childhood. So there's a ton of memorabilia in my house. This game has been on the shelf since 1975 in my home. It actually has on the box the $4.99 Airway sticker, which if for all you people who don't remember the name Airway, that is what Target came from. They were originally Airway and they got converted to Targets. This is an old game. That said, the story behind this is very interesting. So first of all, if you haven't seen the movie The Founder, I highly recommend that movie. It is actually very interesting about the origin of McDonald's to begin with, but we're specifically talking about the origin of the McDonald Land characters today. So the McDonald Land, the interesting thing about the McDonald Land characters is they are, just like most everything else in McDonald's history, a complete ripoff of somebody else. So Ray Kroc basically stole the McDonald's idea from the McDonald brothers back, and that's what the Founder movie is all about. But whenever in the 1970s, they were trying to expand into the child market, they wanted to sell Happy Meals. That was their new thing they were going to create. Nobody had really ever pitched to children before. So they decided Ray Kroc wanted to break into the child market by creating a McDonald Land, basically a complete ripoff of Disneyland. They wanted to actually build it in Los Angeles and have a theme park that was going to be his child. Of course, that didn't go over, and he decided, well, instead, I'm going to take the playground to them. Instead of having a giant park, we're going to put parks in most of our McDonald's, our larger McDonald's. So hence became the play areas that you see at a lot of the McDonald's today still. But at that time, he wanted to sell it to children, so he wanted to have characters and come up with... So hence Ronald McDonald became a character, which is a complete ripoff of Bozo the Clown. Even looks like Bozo the Clown, but they themed him in the McDonald's colors. But the rest of the characters, they commissioned... there was a TV show back in the 70s, or actually 60s, called H&R Puffin Stuff. And that show... It was very short-lived, like less than 20 episodes were made of it. But it had a cult following, and it lasted on TV all through the 70s. Actually, I think it still was on in the 80s in some some things like Nick at Night, I think, had it. But the they got the people who made H&R Puff and stuff to agree to create the characters for McDonald Land, and they had already started work on it. But I guess, I don't know if it was a pace issue, they weren't working fast enough, or McDonald's decided, we don't need them. So they cut them out and said, we're going to go a different direction. And that direction was completely ripping off exactly what H&R Puff and stuff did, to the point where Mayor McCheese, if you see a picture of H&R Puff and stuff, he was mayor of his town, and he looked like a giant dinosaur, basically, that looked a lot like Mayor McCheese. He even had the draped thing on him, just like Mayor McCheese does. They had talking trees, just like in the commercials for McDonald's. Everything was a complete ripoff. They even got the voice actors from H&R Puff and stuff
Oh my goodness!
to voice the actors. So guess what happened? They got sued. So McDonald's got sued by H&R Puff and Stuff's creators, but they dragged it all throughout the courts forever, trying to,
because they had the money to do that.
And they introduced the Happy Meal during this time. Ultimately, McDonald's lost. They lost the suit and were mandated they had to get rid of all the characters that looked like H&R Puff and Stuff characters. And so that's why you don't see Mayor McCheese anymore. They had to change Grimace to make him look different and make him more like happy, because he was actually a villain in the original. He even had 4 arms originally. And Hamburglar, they made him look more friendly, but they kept Hamburglar. You still saw him.
Yeah, still Hamburglar.
They added in some like the Fry Guys and different stuff that they could use. They had Birdie, the breakfast bird that they had for a while. All that was legal, but they took out all the ones that were complete ripoffs. So they got rid of Captain Crook, I believe was his name. He was a pirate, and they got rid of Big Mac, the police officer. And they changed their parts so they didn't resemble the H&R Puff and Stuff world that they used to have. Because it used to be set on these benches that you basically slid off of, because they were completely round tops to them, and they look like the sandwiches. But the thing is, it didn't really matter, because if they lost the lawsuit, the lawsuit was
so much money on
$1 million. The thing is, they make more than that in a day off of Happy Meals. So McDonald's won in the long run. And that's what they've always done. They've always won, because it doesn't really matter if they get sued. They're going to make more money by doing what they did. So
rough.
Yeah, but it's a real interesting story. So during that time, they just marketed the heck out of everything that they actually did. So this has got the characters in it. So there's action figures and dolls and all that, and it's all been based on a theft.
I have a quick question though. As a child from the 70s, did you really think these were cool?
Yes. Well, of course you did, because we loved going to McDonald's. As a kid, you didn't like going to McDonald's.
No.
I liked going to McDonald's, but I wasn't into the IP stuff like you. I mean, when I was that young, I was more like...
This guy was not cool. He was never cool.
I never cared about that kind of stuff as a kid of the 70s. I was more into cartoons and...
See, I grew up...
action figures and G.I. Joe, stuff like that.
See, when I was growing up, it was the Beanie Babies inside, or the Barbies that were inside of the Happy Meals that I wanted. And I was super excited when I got to have my very own Happy Meal, and I didn't have to share it with nobody.
See, when I was a kid, they didn't have toys at the time.
Right.
They had the cookies, and the cookies were the shapes of all these characters. And they had to get rid of the cookies because of that. So they changed it. Now they do, I think, chocolate chip cookies that they individually.
They don't do cookies
anymore. They don't do cookies at all anymore? Okay. No,
you get apples, fries, and whatever meal you choose.
Well, no, I'm saying they sell the cookies at McDonald's.
Oh, they can get yogurt too. So, yeah.
But we always had a treat. We'd go down and get a box of these cookies. I don't know how many of those boxes of cookies I ate growing up.
I think it's the hot apple pies.
They did change them, but this long gone. They had them in the when I was growing up, they would have, I remember that, the cookies in the clear film, but there was a red McDonald's label on clock. But it's been,
but
they were cinnamon grams is what they were.
Yeah, but they sold chocolate chip cookies still. I don't know if they still do it, but they were selling fresh baked chocolate.
All I know is
cookies.
now they got cinnamon rolls, and Sarah's been all about that.
Well,
so, all right.
They used to have cherry pie, not just hot apple pie.
Let's talk about this game.
Well,
let's talk about player pieces.
Quality of the components is...
Hey, listen, I actually think this is interesting. I mean,
Well, it used to be one square piece, but the cardboard has dried out or dry rotted. It's like torn at the corners now.
But still,
this is actually pretty cool for a 70s game.
And then you actually have this little card organizer, which is kind of cool.
Yeah,
and a score tracker.
Because of the uniqueness of the time, I'm willing to give this a 5 and no more.
Well, I mean, this was 1975, and but most everything was just roll and move. This actually has some resource management.
Well, right, but you can't. There's been games where I was like, well, if you look at the time, you go, like, no, you really can't, because we play modern games, so we got to rank it how we play.
I believe that would be someone else at this table.
That would be see.
So it's like you guys got to make up your mind. Are we going to judge the game for what it was, for when it was made?
All right, well, in that case...
Are we going to judge it from
I'm not
today?
going to give it a high score. I just think it's better than, considering that it came out in 1975. This is better than most 1975.
I think it's fair to consider that it was from 1975, because in 1975, you probably didn't have a whole lot, unless you were talking about the war games, like Axis and Allies.
Well, those weren't out in 1975.
Well, Squad Leader and stuff like that.
Some of the three, like the old classic bookshelf ones.
If you look at it that way, you end up with these crappy standees. You end up with these crappy cardboard thing. If we're looking at it from this time frame, it's going to obviously score not well.
Yeah.
But I do think there are some components in here that is kind of a little bit surprising for this game, considering the time frame. So if I'm judging it on nowadays standards, maybe a 3. Okay, but given the time period, I would say a 5. What are your thoughts?
I think a 5 is fair. The fact is that the board, it's very basic. Well, yeah, but again, it's been sitting on the shelf
since 75,
and it's at my parents' basement for most of that time, where we had floods and all kinds of stuff. So I can understand why the board's warped. I'm actually glad it actually didn't just completely fall apart. Honestly, when I got it out, I was really worried about the middle contraption being a total wreck, but it actually held out.
Yeah. So what's your score?
I'd give it 5.
Okay. All right. So you agreed with me. No. All right. So now let's talk about theme. It's McDonald's.
Yeah.
It uses McDonald's. It's just clearly.
Yeah, there's a few things that it's like, why do you have different things? Because it's like, actions are take a card, or go to another place and take a card in some of these cases, but they have different names on them. And it's like, okay, you can
take 1, 2, or 3 cards.
Or steal from another player, or, basically.
Which, hey, stealing would have actually been helpful, because I was short things.
Yeah.
I would have won if you had not.
I never got to anything that still is either draw cards or doing.
Well, there's take 1 card from each player, and then there's trade 2 cards with another player. So there's one
that's not even with the player; it just says trade 2 cards.
Well, it's actually it is supposed to be for two player with another player.
Yeah. So generally speaking, theme wise, this is it's got McDonald's on it.
Yeah, it's McDonald's all through and through.
Oh yeah, it's got its advertising straight up.
But most interesting is these themed. I like the menu cards.
Yeah,
you actually have an order, and then at the bottom on some of them, you change your order up. It's just like you're going through the drive-thru and changing your mind.
Yeah.
So I thought that was clever.
Or you're done with the order, but you then add more to it.
So, I thought that was a clever touch, because it's not something you see. Most of the just roll and move type games from the 70s are just literally that.
Yeah. I was pleasantly surprised. It's not Alien, thank goodness. And
which was a better game.
No, it was not.
Yes, it was.
You just like the theme better.
It was a better game.
All right. So, my thing is, theme-wise, it's McDonald's. It's not that great. Even if you consider the theme, there's nothing to it. You do place orders.
Well,
I guess
thematically, this is awesome right here. And so the stand with the marble,
it looks like the McDonald's side.
It really does. So thematically, we're not talking about what we think of the game itself.
Right.
But thematically, I think it's pretty awesome. I think they did a good job.
Okay, so what?
And the fact that you're incorporating placing an order and the menus.
Thematically, it's an 8.
Whoa. Okay.
Thematically,
I love McDonald's, and I don't like the food. I love the advertising.
No, thematically, it fits.
But I'm
going
to go 7.5. I think I'm quite as high as him, but I do like the integration of integrated into the gameplay for a 1975 game. That's pretty impressive.
All right,
I'm giving it like, what is it? 75 would be 0.7. I'm doing 0.1 of the actual year for the score. 75.
Okay. I'll give it a 7 just because I feel like I'm obligated to at this point. So, I mean, it's okay. All right, so now let's talk about gameplay. All right, guys.
Oh, you didn't do the rule book? There isn't a rule book.
There isn't one.
It's the cardboard insert.
It's like the old Milton Bradley games. It's printed in the box.
Printed on the cardboard in the divider. And it tells you how to play the game. I mean, it's very simple.
What is your score on the...
Would you give it a 10 for the robot?
No. I don't like when it's printed on the box because you don't actually have a
That's
book.
That's what he's worried about.
I mean, it effectively tells you how to play the game.
Are you going to give it a negative score since there's not a cheat sheet?
I feel like I should.
I'm going to give this a 7 because it effectively taught you the game. No confusion. It's just, you've got to look at the box to figure out how to play.
I don't know what land I'm in. Okay. All right.
McDonald's land, of course.
And that explains so much. All right. So, simple gameplay. All right. So, before the beginning of your game, if you have any extra cards, so you can only have 3 of each item. So, anything over, you're going to turn in and get victory points based on those. If you remember. If you roll the dice and forget, well, you just discard the cards. What a bummer. All right, so I rolled a 5.
By the way, before we go any further, how in the world did we get through quality of components without you talking about the quality of that die? Because if you thought the alien die was bad and dated, this one...
Listen, I'm in pretend land right now where I'm just pretending that this is over. All right? All right, so I rolled a 5. So it's fine. It works. Okay. So basically, I can choose to move 5 either direction, which is actually a little bit different than some of the other games. Because most of the games you have to choose a path. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I take the action on there. So some of them are take a card, steal a card, or trade cards, or let's do an order. Okay. So if I were to get cards, I just get them from this draw pile, put them in my deck. Anything over goes to the side, and again at the beginning of the game, I'll turn those in for points. So I went to do an order. I'm going to read off the order to my counterparts. Y'all are going to do this, okay? See who wins.
Well, I think he's going to win because I'm missing half of my components.
Well, then he can win the game. So
he already won the game.
All right, here you go. All right, so.
Oh, he's going to win now because he's got my marble. You're holding it hostage.
All right. I need 1 cookie, 2 French fries,
I don't have any cookies.
a hot apple pie.
I only have 1 French fry.
Nobody's going to fill the order because we didn't restock for this.
Here, you can use mine.
Oh, thank you.
Randy wins.
All right. I need a cookie. 2 French fries.
1 French fry.
1 hot apple pie.
1 hot apple pie.
A Big Mac. A filet of fish.
Filet of fish.
Please.
Oh, there's no variance?
There you go.
Well, I need my marble, and you took it. Thank you.
All right, so now Robert gets to try to get it because he was the first marble. So I need a cookie.
I have a cookie.
I need 2 French fries.
I have 2 French fries.
I need a hot apple pie.
I got a hot apple pie.
A Big Mac.
A Big Mac.
A filet of fish.
Got a filet of fish.
All right, so basically because he was able to fill the order the fastest, he gets all the victory points. So there were 6 cards, so he gets 6 victory points.
But
if she turns over this card and sees it wasn't really what it was supposed to be, then I get to fill it in because I'm second. And
so he'd get the opportunity, but we're going to take his.
But I didn't.
But we're going to take his.
Because I'm better.
Yeah, and so then I get to take these cards and put them in my store. If I have any over, again, I'll be able to turn those in. So both the person who fills the order and the person taking the order can both do victory points. So it's behooved to you.
But more importantly, it's not even just the victory points for you. It's you're being able to replace cards that you don't have anymore.
Yeah. Right. Because that's the thing. Because I ran out and I couldn't place several orders because I just didn't have the stuff. So yeah, that's the game. The first person to 25 wins the game. It's not
rocket science.
It's not rocket science.
But it's not targeted for people our age. It's targeted for little kids.
Listen, I will say, compared to Alien, hallelujah. And
nowhere near as good as Alien.
And then the other piece of it is that yes, thank you. Is at least it's more than I thought it was going to be. Okay, I'll give it the fact that there is some ordering, there is a speed component to it. The board's a little lame. The actions on the board are kind of a little bit lame. It would have been a little bit more fun if you could choose the card, like so you could specifically replace, or one's a random, one's a choose your, So I think they could have done a little bit more with that, like instead of instant bonus, take one card, and then the certificate is choose a card and then from the discard pile or something like that. So even within the game parameters, I think there's things that they could have done to make it a little bit better, but it's still not. It's a very basic game. What are your guys' thoughts? I'm going to make you rate this first.
Well, I mean, I can only compare it to my experience in gaming. So this is where I have to step out. Oh, it's from 1975. It's a board game. It's terrible.
It's so bad.
It's a 4 at best. I mean, it might even be a 3. I mean, because I'm taking away the thematic. Thematics is cool, but as far as a game, I'll go 3. I'm not that great at dexterity games, so it's got that going against it. It's just a terrible game. It's a 3. It sucks.
Okay, what about you, Randy?
I don't think it's that bad. It's not great. It's a kid's game back from the 70s.
Well, roll and moves suck in general.
Yeah, that piece of it sucks. And the fact that the board, I still struggle with the fact that there's 2 spaces that both are take one card, but they have different names on them. I don't understand that because every other space is different. So why did they have duplicates there? But as
because they wanted something green and something blue.
Yeah, it's just it was forced.
And why did they choose pink? Like that is such an odd color palette for this.
Really, that's what you're going to criticize about your choice of a color? So, but I like the integration. I like the way the menu piece works.
Yeah, that is unique. Cool. It is cool. That's why I got a 3, not a 1.
Yeah, I thought for the time period, I had forgotten how this game played when I got it out. Right. I was surprised about the fact that this has got not worker placement. It's got resource management. It's got contract fulfillment.
Listen, yes and no, okay? Because you don't get to choose your resources, and you don't get to pick your contract.
There's modern games, where you don't get to choose the resources when you get them.
I mean, no, but yes.
It's just a terrible.
I'm just saying, for the time period, I didn't expect there to even be that kind of
right. And listen, I was thinking another Alien. It wasn't quite that bad. Yeah. So I'll give you that.
How do you keep poo-pooing on Alien? That's a much better game.
No,
I'm going to give it 4.5.
Okay.
I don't think it's nearly not as good as Catan, but it is.
Oh, fine. No, I'm with Robert on this one. This is a 3. Like I will give it props for the things that it is, considering the time frame. But it's. Listen, if you say, "Oh, let's play McDonald's" or "Let's play Catan," like a million times, yes, please.
Well, it's just that for me, roll and move is probably the worst type of.
What did I rate Bees?
Is this better than Bees?
By like a smidge.
I don't like roll and moves in general. They're just so boring. Talisman for roll and move has some cool aspects to it, so that's why I play Talisman, but this doesn't have any of those cool parts of Talisman. It's just everything bad about roll and move that's this game. I can't give it any higher.
I'm just saying, when we go to the vintage closet, we're going to be getting a lot of roll and moves because that's what's mostly from that time period. So if you're going to go in with that kind of mentality, then every vintage game we get is going to be it.
And they might be, but this doesn't add anything to that roll and move that makes me think, man, this is awesome.
All right, well, thank you guys so much for joining us. We had an absolute interesting time. And we hope that you can come visit us again. We'll catch you guys later. Bye.